God's chosen ones. God smiled in joy because you finally did the impossible. A chosen one. Heaven just stopped. The angels paused their song. The throne room fell silent. All of heaven leans in because of you. You've carried wounds they said were too heavy, too broken, too late. Alone you whisper through tears, maybe I'm finished. But the darkness sneers, the enemy whispers, you're forgotten. Yet his shadow cannot silence the spark inside you. With trembling hands, you lift the cross. One whisper breaks the silence, I still believe. And heaven begins to stir. The angels stop mid-flight. The Father leans forward. His smile lights the galaxies because you chose faith over fear. Then light floods the heavens, the enemy flees, and you chosen ones stand in victory. With God, the impossible has begun. Chosen one, let me take you into the silence that heaven felt when you made your impossible choice. Do you feel it now? The air is heavier, your spirit alert, as if the universe itself is listening. You have walked through storms that should have drowned you, losses that should have buried you, betrayal cut deeper than knives, nights when you stood in the kitchen at 2 a.m. asking God if he still saw you, and yet here you are, breathing, listening, and heaven is leaning in. When Sarah was 90, they laughed at the thought of her holding a child. When David stood before the giant, they saw a massacre waiting to happen. But heaven saw a king, and tonight heaven sees you. I know your scars, the sleepless nights, the ache that never seems to lift, the voices that said, you missed your chance. But listen, this is not the end of your story. The same God who split the sea for Moses, who called Lazarus from the grave, is smiling over you now. And that smile means something has shifted. Not tomorrow, not next year, tonight. As you hear these words, the impossible is already unfolding. This video found you because heaven wrote it into your path. You are not here by accident. You are here because you are chosen. And what God has begun tonight will not only change you, it will ripple through generations. Part 1. Chosen One. Listen closely. For these next few moments, I am not just speaking words. I am carrying a message heaven has been waiting for you to hear. This is not entertainment. This is not coincidence. This is a divine appointment set in the throne room of God before you even came into this world. There are days on the calendar that look ordinary, and then there are nights like this night's heaven marks in gold. Tonight the veil is thinner, the angels are holding their breath, and your name has been spoken before the throne. You may not feel like someone heaven would pause for. You may feel small, overlooked, maybe even forgotten. Perhaps your own family stopped believing in you long ago. Perhaps you stopped believing in yourself. But hear this, God has never stopped believing in you, and his belief outweighs every whisper of doubt, every sneer of the enemy, every moment you thought you were finished. Do you remember the lies, the voice in the night that told you you're too old, too broken, too late, your best years are gone? That was not the voice of God. That was the enemy desperate to bury you before your promise could be born. But tonight, God himself is undoing those lies. His smile has broken the silence, and his joy has set the record straight. Chosen one, every scar you carry is not proof of failure, it is evidence of survival. The scars on your soul are not shame, they are testimony. They are marks that say, I walked through the fire and I did not burn. Do you feel the weight of that truth? When heaven smiled, chains began to crack. Doors that had been rusted shut started to shift on their hinges. Dreams long buried under disappointment began to stir again. And it is happening now as I speak, because your faith, even trembling, fragile, flickering faith, is more powerful than the strongest chains of hell. Remember Noah. Day after day he hammered nails into wood while the world laughed. Crazy old man, they said, building a boat with no water in sight. But Noah was not building for the approval of men. He was building for the promise of God. And when the flood came, the same voices that mocked him drowned in their disbelief while Noah floated on the impossible. And you, chosen one, are doing the same. Every small act of faith you have made, praying when you felt nothing, forgiving when it hurt, standing when you wanted to collapse, those were your hammer blows, and heaven has been preparing your flood of blessing. Do you see it now? This is why God smiled tonight, not because you are perfect, not because you figured it all out, but because you finally did the impossible. You believed him over the lies. You chose his word over the verdict of the world. So let the enemy sneer, let the doubters whisper, for tonight heaven's verdict has been declared. You are chosen, you are victorious, and the smile of God is the seal no darkness can erase. Chosen one, hear me. Your breakthrough is not just for you, it is generational. Every time you said yes to God, in the middle of your pain, you were planting seeds your children will harvest. Every time you stood up on shaking knees, you were breaking curses off your family line. Your grandchildren will walk in strength they did not earn because you fought battles they will never have to face. Do you feel the weight of that? Tonight is not small. Tonight is a generational earthquake, and the tremors will echo through bloodlines and communities, through people you may never meet, but who will be nourished by the tree of faith you planted. This is why heaven paused. This is why the angels leaned forward. This is why the Father smiled, the smile that creates galaxies. Because your impossible faith has shifted eternity, and yet, chosen one, this is only the beginning. The enemy thought this was the end. He thought your silence, your tears, your exhaustion meant victory for him. But he was wrong. Tonight his grip has been broken. His accusations have been silenced. And every step you take from this moment on will paint new strokes on the masterpiece God began before time itself. So breathe deep. Let heaven's joy cover you like a cloak. Let the Father's smile steady your trembling hands. And know deep in your spirit that what was impossible yesterday has become the foundation of your tomorrow. This is your moment. This is your shift. This is why heaven is watching. And this is why you must not turn away. Stay with me, for what I will share next will take you deeper into the mystery of your calling. And once you hear it, you will never see your life the same way again. Part 2. The reason for the trials. Chosen one, have you ever asked why the storms came crashing into your life? Why the wounds were so deep and yet God allowed them to remain? Why the Almighty did not stop your darkest days? Listen carefully, for this answer holds the key to your destiny. You must understand trials are never a sign of abandonment. Trials are the evidence that you have been chosen to carry a journey bigger than yourself. You thought your tears were meaningless, but every drop that fell was like a seed planted in the ground, destined to grow into a tree of life for the generations to come. Look back at the ones who walked before you. Sarah conceived at 90 years old. To the world, it was absurd mockery even. Yet that impossibility became the stage where God's power was revealed. If Sarah had borne a child in her youth, it would have seemed ordinary. But when she gave birth to Isaac in her old age, the world could only call it a miracle. Her trial was not meaningless delay. It was the stage for heaven's glory to shine. David stood before Goliath, a young boy with nothing but a sling and 5 small stones. Everyone thought he would be dead within seconds. But in that weakness, the strength of God was revealed. That single stone did more than strike down a giant. It proved to an entire nation that with God on your side, the weakest can overcome the strongest. Do you see? It is impossibility itself that becomes the launching pad for heaven to move. And you, chosen one, are living in that same script. Your wounds are not your defeat. They are the platform for your testimony. The nights you wanted to end it, all the days you thought your life had no meaning, those were the very moments God was writing a chapter filled with miracles. You ask, why was I betrayed by the very ones I trusted most? Because only when you lost the support of people could you learn to lean fully on God. You ask, why did I lose the things I loved most? Because only when your heart was shattered could He place within you a new heart, stronger, brighter, more compassionate. There are wounds that never disappear, and that is by design. Paul begged the Lord 3 times to remove the thorn in his flesh. But God replied, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." Do you hear that if God removed every pain, you would rely on yourself? But when He leaves it, it is a reminder that His power covers you even in your weakest places. Yes, you have sat alone in the dark, feeling as though the world forgot you, yet in those very moments the angels recorded every tear, every breath, every broken prayer. Not a single moment was wasted, not a single day was overlooked. Chosen one, your trials are heaven's training ground. Just as gold is only purified in fire, your soul is only refined through suffering. Do not call these past years failure, call them the furnace. Do not call your scars shame, call them the crown of a survivor. You think you have lost too much time, but in God's kingdom not a moment is wasted. You think you strayed from the path, but God turns every detour into the road toward destiny. You think the storm swept everything away, but within the storm God was shaping you into Noah's ark, rising above the flood instead of sinking beneath it. You were not chosen for an easy life. You were chosen to be living proof that faith can endure even in the ashes. When you forgave the one who betrayed you, heaven rejoiced. When you stood up again after falling 10 times, hell trembled. When you whispered, "I still believe," though surrounded by darkness, the entire universe recognized the divine DNA within you. You ask, why must I suffer so much pain? Because the greater the pain, the stronger the testimony. Because the greater the miracle, the harder the trial. Because you were not saved only for yourself. You were set as a light for an entire generation. Picture this: your children and grandchildren will one day rise stronger than you because they inherited the legacy of faith you paid for with blood and tears. They will say, "My ancestor survived when the world turned against them. I carry the blood of one who believed the impossible." That is the inheritance you are leaving, and it begins with the very trials you are enduring today. Chosen one, do not let the enemy deceive you into thinking pain is the end. Pain is only a comma in the long story. It is the pause before the music rises stronger. It is the night sky before the radiant dawn. And in the middle of those trials, you are learning to hear God's voice more clearly, to separate truth from lies, to stand firm, even when the ground shakes beneath you. Remember this: your suffering is not meaningless. It is a living testimony, a chapter of glory, the key that will unlock blessings for generations after you. And tonight, as heaven smiles, God has placed His seal on everything you have endured. You did not fall, chosen one. You did not give up. You walked through fire, you walked through water, and you are still standing. And because of that, He declares the trial is over. The new season has begun. Part 3, confirmation: you are the chosen one. Chosen one, it is time for you to believe this. It is no accident that you are hearing these words. It is no coincidence that this message has reached you among millions of others. This is heaven's confirmation that you are indeed the chosen one. For years, you may have felt like just a grain of sand lost in a vast ocean of people. You may have asked yourself, does God even know my name? Does He hear the whispered prayers I breathe in the dark? And tonight, the resounding answer from the throne is yes. You are known. You are called. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. Do you remember the moments when people turned their backs? When laughter echoed behind you? When they said you were too weak, too slow, too outdated to matter? In those very moments, heaven recorded, "This is the one I have chosen." not because you were perfect, but because in your weakness, God's light shines brightest. Let me remind you of Abraham. He was not flawless. He doubted. He stumbled. Yet God still called him, "Go to the land I will show you." And that promise gave birth to a nation. In the same way, you are called not because you are without fault, but because you dared to step into the unknown, holding on to nothing but His word. You have forgiven when you had every right to retaliate. You have believed when your heart was shattered. You have risen again after falling countless times. And those very choices are the loudest evidence that the blood of the chosen runs through you. Perhaps you don't even realize it, but every time you refused to quit, every time you chose hope over despair, heaven celebrated. The angels paused their flight to watch as you whispered those fragile prayers. And the Father leaned from His throne and smiled, not because He saw a struggling soul, but because He saw His chosen one rising. You ask, why me? What's so special about me? But what you don't yet see is that God's choice is not based on achievement, talent, or status. His choice is rooted in unconditional love and divine purpose. When God says, "I have chosen you," it means the limits of this world no longer define you. Remember Esther. She was just an orphan girl swept into a palace seemingly insignificant. But when her people stood at the brink of destruction, heaven whispered, "Perhaps you were placed in the kingdom for such a time as this." And she became the one who saved a nation. You are the same. The pain and trials you have endured are not accidents, they were preparation for your appointed place. When you forgave the betrayer, you did more than free your own soul. You became a vessel of grace. When you resisted temptation, though your body longed to give in, you did more than protect yourself. You proved to heaven and earth that light is stronger than darkness. And when you whispered amen in that empty room, you did more than speak, you shook the throne of God. You must understand, being chosen does not mean it will be easy. Being chosen means your path will be different. And yes, that difference may bring mockery, misunderstanding, even isolation. But that very difference is the seal of heaven upon your life. For when the world says you cannot, God declares you are mine. You were chosen to testify to the impossible, to step into rooms others fear to enter, to forgive what others cannot forgive, to believe when others have given up. You are the lamp in the night, the living proof that God is still moving in this world. And now the Lord wants you to know you no longer have to doubt. Every event in your life, both the joy and the pain, has been pointing to this truth: you are chosen. Every tear, every fall, every weak prayer has been carving into eternity the testimony that you are living proof of His glory. Do you feel it? The air growing heavier, your heartbeat quickening. That is not just emotion, that is the confirmation of the Holy Spirit within you. The whisper in your heart right now is heaven declaring again, you are the chosen one. Doubt no more. Let these words sink deep into your bones. Let them erase every lie you have ever believed. Let them transform the way you see yourself. From this day on, when you look in the mirror, don't just see someone tired, someone broken. See a warrior of light, a witness of miracles, a chosen one of the living God. And from this moment forward, walk as one crowned with an invisible crown, as one heaven has already affirmed, for it is sealed, and no power in existence can erase it. Part 4, the promise change and reward are coming. Chosen one, when God smiles, it is not a fleeting smile, it is a sign. It is the seal that a new season has begun, and the promise He made to you is already on its way faster than you imagine. You have sown in tears. Now you will reap in joy. Every tear-stained day, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer, they have all been stored up, gathering into a river of blessing. And now the dam has cracked. That river is about to flood into your life. Remember, this God never lets a tear fall to the ground without purpose. The angels have gathered each one in golden bowls, and when the appointed time arrives, those very tears become raindrops of blessing falling upon your life. You may not see it yet with your eyes, but in the unseen realm, the doors are open. The current has already begun to flow. Think of Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, imprisoned without reason, forgotten in the darkness of a dungeon. Yet in one single moment, God turned the story upside down, from prisoner to prince, from captive to governor. Do you see? You may spend years in the shadows, but when God's appointed hour strikes, in just one night, your destiny can change forever. And tonight, the Lord whispers to you, that hour is near. You will watch rusted doors swing open on their own. You will see dreams you thought were buried come alive again. You will witness broken relationships restored by a power beyond human understanding. You must understand God's promises are never late. They arrive at the perfect moment when you have been refined enough to hold them. If the blessing had come too soon, it could have become a burden. But because you have walked through the fire, because you have learned to stand in the storm, now you are strong enough to wear the crown. Chosen one, prepare your heart. Change is at the door. Not only change for you, but for your family, for your community. The faith you planted is about to bloom, not only for your salvation, but for those who have never yet seen the light. Remember Ruth, a poor widow with no future ahead of her. Yet because she faithfully followed Naomi, God rewrote her story. He placed her in the lineage of King David and ultimately in the very bloodline of the Savior himself. A small decision in the shadows became a great promise for all humanity, and you too. Your decisions today are writing history for generations yet to come. You once thought age had stolen your opportunity, but with God, gray hair is not an ending. It is a crown of wisdom. You once thought scars were proof of failure, but with God, they are medals of survival. You once thought your past had ruined everything, but with God, your past becomes the stage for His redemption. The promise over your life is not just personal restoration, it is inheritance. Your children will inherit the courage you proved. Your grandchildren will walk in the freedom you fought for. And your community will taste the fruit of the faith you planted in silence. Do you feel it? Something is stirring inside your spirit, as if the skies within are beginning to brighten. That is the sign that the promise is drawing near. You will no longer wander the desert. The river is flowing toward you. The vineyard is blossoming, and His voice is whispering, "This is your season." Believe it, this change is no illusion. It is real, it is happening, and no power can stop it. For when God has spoken, His word does not return empty. When He has smiled, heaven and earth must move. And His smile is upon you now. You are the chosen one, and His promise is unfolding before your very eyes. Prepare your heart, for change is no longer distant. It is knocking at your door. And when you step through, you will never be the same again. Part 5. The climax. Faith shakes heaven and hell. Chosen one, do you realize this? A single decision in your heart has shaken both kingdoms. Heaven is rejoicing, hell is trembling, and the silence of the unseen has exploded because you chose to believe. You thought your faith was just a grain of sand, but in God's eyes, it is an earthquake that shifts history itself. When you whispered, "I still believe," in the darkness, heaven stood still and hell quaked. Picture that moment. The angels singing suddenly fell silent. The saints in glory leaned in to listen. The Father on His throne bent down, His eyes ablaze, His smile radiant enough to ignite galaxies. You could not see it, but in the unseen realm, creation itself paused to witness one thing, the chosen one rising from the ashes. And at that very moment in the shadows, the enemy panicked. His whispers fell powerless. The chains he wrapped around your soul shattered. The spirits of despair, guilt, and fear shrieked as light burst inside you. Hell trembled because it knew this: The one who has chosen to believe will never again be a victim. Do you remember Noah? Every strike of his hammer against the ark in the dry desert was thunder echoing into the unseen. People laughed, they mocked. But heaven wrote it down, he believed. And when the flood came, no power could stop the ark from floating above the chaos. Faith had prepared him for what no one saw coming. And so it is with you. Every fragile prayer, every trembling step, every act of forgiveness, each one has been a hammer blow against the wall of darkness. Or think of Esther. She walked into the king's presence knowing she could die in an instant, and still she said, "If I perish, I perish." A trembling yet courageous faith saved an entire nation. Do you see, faith doesn't need to be perfect, it only needs to be real. And when it's real, it is strong enough to alter destiny. The climax of faith is not the shout on your lips, but the quiet decision in your heart. When you set down the bottle after 20 years, heaven shook. When you forgave the one who betrayed you, hell shuddered. When you rose again in pain that should have destroyed you, light split the darkness. Your faith is like a flame in the night. It may seem small, but even a tiny spark can drive back 1,000 years of shadow. You are the living proof that light will always win. Do you hear it now? The footsteps of angels circling you, the sound of heaven's music swelling, the clatter of chains falling to the ground. All of it because you chose faith. This is the climax, not just a change inside you, but an event that shakes the universe. You have crossed from darkness into light, from victim into witness, from ashes into the very territory where God does the impossible. And now the Lord declares, you are not just a survivor, you are a warrior. You are not just one who forgives. You are forgiveness embodied. You are not just one who believes. You are living proof that faith is alive. So when you walk out of this darkness, do not see yourself as weak anymore. See yourself as a storm of heaven. Every step you take, every word you speak, every choice you make will make hell tremble. Chosen one, your faith has reached the climax that cannot be undone. Once heaven has confirmed it, no power can deny it. Once hell has trembled, the enemy will never again dare to take you lightly. You chose to believe. And because of that, heaven and earth have been shaken. Part 6. Release the doors, open the legacy begins. Chosen one. Listen carefully, for from this very moment, every invisible chain that once bound your life is breaking apart. I hear the sound of old hinges groaning. Doors that had been locked for years are swinging open not by your strength, but by the smile of the Creator. Tonight, heaven declares, open. You have stood before many doors people said were closed forever. Opportunities lost, dreams shattered, hope buried. They whispered, it's too late, there's nothing left. But God never says too late. In His kingdom, there is no such thing as an ending. Every door the world has slammed shut, He can open with just one breath. And tonight, in this very moment, those doors are opening for you. The door of forgiveness. You thought your heart would always remain cracked, that your wounds would imprison you for life. But the love of God is mending them. He is giving you the strength to release, to let go, to be free. The door of provision years of lack, worry, and debt weighed heavy like a shadow. But now He is releasing rivers of abundance so that you will not only have enough, but overflow. The door of dreams. The things you once wrote down and tore up, the prayers you whispered and then forgot, tonight they live again. They were never dead. They were only waiting for His call. And now He calls, come forth, live again. Do you remember Lazarus' 4 days in the grave, the stench of death, thick in the air, hope long gone? People said, it's too late. But Jesus spoke, Lazarus, come out, and death turned to life. So it is with your dream. Others may have buried it, you may have given up on it, but it was never dead, it was only sleeping. And now, at His word, it awakens. You will see your own Lazarus walk out of the shadows. Your faith may feel as small as a mustard seed, but God said, if you have faith as small as this, you can move mountains. And that seed has sprouted. Its roots are deep, its branches stretch wide, its shade extends far. The tree of your faith is bearing fruit at last. And the wonder is this: the fruit is not only for you. Your children will eat from it. Your grandchildren will inherit it. Strangers passing by will rest in its shade. Your faith has become a legacy. Picture a dam holding back a river for years. The water builds, waiting for just one crack. Tonight, your faith is that crack, and now the waters of blessing are breaking through. Nothing can hold them back. They are rushing into your work, your relationships, your family, your body, and they will not stop with you. They will flow outward, touching those who have never known the light. For true blessing never ends with one person. There are chains you cannot see with your eyes, the chains of fear, of guilt, of doubt. They bound you for years, convincing you you'd never be enough. But tonight, His voice declares, the chains are broken. You are free. Free not only to breathe, but to run. Free not only to survive, but to sow, to build, to leave behind a legacy you never thought you could. Do you feel the air shifting, as if the skies inside you are clearing, as if a new season has already begun? Yes, this is your season, the season where tears turn into laughter, where silent prayers turn into songs of praise, where the impossible becomes ordinary. You are no longer called to merely survive. You are called to overflow, to become a fountain of blessing, to pass down to future generations a heritage of faith. Chosen one, tonight the doors have opened, the dream has awakened, the tree of faith is blossoming, the chains have fallen, and from this moment forward your legacy has begun, a legacy that will echo into generations not yet born. Part 7. Time and age do not limit God's plan. Chosen one, you have thought it was too late, too old, too weary. You've looked into the mirror and seen the wrinkles, the scars, the marks of time, and whispered, surely God has moved on to someone younger, stronger, fresher. But hear me, within His kingdom, time is never your enemy. Time is only His tool to refine you. Remember Sarah, 90 years old, her womb long dead, and Abraham 100, his body frail and worn. Yet at that moment God declared, Sarah shall bear a son, and Isaac was born. If it had happened when they were young, the world would have called it natural. But when the impossible happened in their old age, the whole earth had to bow and admit, this is a miracle. So it is with you. Your age is not a burden, it is a crown. The wrinkles on your face are not signs of decline, but etchings that read, I survived. I endured. The scars on your body are not failures, but medals of a warrior. You are not disqualified from His plan because you have grown older. You have been preserved to prove that His power is never bound by age. Think of Paul, beaten, imprisoned, abandoned, his body torn and weak. And yet, the letters he penned from those prison walls still live today, stronger than empires, enduring longer than Rome itself. He thought he was confined, but in truth, God was using that confinement to release a legacy that would outlast 2,000 years. Do you see? The very moment you thought you were stopped, God was writing your eternal page. Do not believe the world when it says, it's too late. The world measures with clocks. God measures with purpose. The clock may tell time, but only He sets the hour. And His word is clear. It is not too late. You have endured long winter seasons where nothing seemed to grow. But winter is not the end. It is the pause that drives roots deeper. And then comes spring, when new life breaks forth stronger than before. So it is with you. The years you thought were wasted were seasons of rooting. And now the fruit is rising. Remember Moses, 40 years as a prince of Egypt, 40 more as a forgotten shepherd in the wilderness. Everyone thought his story had ended, that he would die in obscurity. But at 80 years old, God called him to deliver a nation. Yes, 80 was his beginning. Does that stir your heart? Age does not disqualify you. Age prepares you. You thought your time was gone, but God says time has only made you shine brighter. Like gold in fire, the longer it stays, the more radiant it becomes. Like wine in its vessel, the older it grows, the richer its fragrance. The world may see time as a thief, but in God's hands, it is an artist painting depth into your story. You have endured loss. You have fallen, risen, and carried wounds. But these are what make you a living testimony. The young may have strength, but you have the wisdom only time can give. Others may speak fancy words, but your story, what you have truly walked through, carries the power to move hearts. You are chosen to prove that miracles have no expiration date. You are chosen to tell the world that God is still moving no matter your age, no matter your past. You are living proof that He is never late. Chosen one, do not see gray hair as a burden, but as a crown. Do not see wrinkles as decline, but as marks of victory. Do not see time as an enemy, but as a teacher. For in the hands of God, every year becomes a stone in the foundation of your legacy. Part 8. The letters, actions, and choices you make today will become a living legacy. Chosen one, you must know this: every word you speak, every action you take, every choice you make today does not vanish into nothing. They are being etched into time. They are writing a letter that the generations after you will read even when you are no longer here. Think of Paul in prison, his hands trembling as he wrote letters with ink and tears. He did not know those fragile pages would pass beyond the prison walls, beyond empires, beyond centuries of history. He only knew to be faithful with the writing, and God turned that faithfulness into a living legacy, still feeding millions of souls today. So it is with you. Your actions today may seem small, a prayer whispered in the night, an embrace given to a child on the edge of despair, a single tear of forgiveness falling silently. But in God's hands, nothing is small. Each one becomes a seed, and that seed will rise into a forest of legacy for the generations to come. Every time you choose faith over fear, it is not just a personal victory, it sends ripples through time. Your children will inherit that courage. Your grandchildren will walk in that freedom. Your neighbors, your friends, your community will see that light in you, and they too will be encouraged to believe. Picture this: you are holding an invisible pen, and every act today, your prayer, your patience, your forgiveness, is a sentence you are writing. You are not writing with ink, but with your life. And what you write will be read by the next generation as a letter straight from heaven. Perhaps you think, but I am just an ordinary person. I have nothing great to give. But heaven sees differently. Noah was just an old man building a boat. Esther was just an orphan girl. Ruth was just a poor widow. Yet each small act, the swing of a hammer, the step into a palace, the choice to follow faithfully, became a legacy that shifted history. You don't need to do something grand in the eyes of the world. You only need to be faithful. Faithful in the little things. Faithful in love. Faithful in believing when everything seems to collapse. And from that, God will turn the small into great, the momentary into eternal echoes. Do you remember the last time you prayed for someone who never knew? Do you remember when you forgave though no one was watching? Do you remember when you stood up again after falling hard? Every one of those moments is becoming the stories your children and grandchildren will tell. My grandparents didn't give up. My parents forgave. They believed, and because of that, I too believe. You must understand, legacy is not land or money or possessions. True legacy is faith handed down. It is the story you leave behind in the memories of others. It is the courage flowing in your descendants' veins. And you, chosen one, you are sowing that legacy right now. Picture a river. Every choice you make today is like a drop of water falling into that stream. It may seem small, but it joins the current, and that current keeps flowing through this generation into the next and the next after that. One day you may leave, but the river will still run carrying your imprint. You are called not only to live for today, you are called to live for eternity. And every decision you make is composing a symphony that will echo long after you are gone. Chosen one. The letter you are writing with your life will never be forgotten. It will be read by your children, by your grandchildren, by generations not yet born. So write with faith, write with love, write with faithfulness, for everything you choose today will become the legacy of tomorrow. Part 9. The legacy does not end with you. It multiplies and expands. Chosen one, you must understand this. What God has begun in you will not end with you. It will spread, it will multiply, and it will live on through generations who may never even see your face. You may have thought this journey of faith was just a private story between you and God. But in reality, every time you choose to believe, you are planting a seed beyond your own sight. And that seed will grow not only in your lifetime, but in the lives of your children, your grandchildren, and even strangers you will never meet. Look at Abraham. He was just one man, just one family. Yet when he believed and obeyed, God said, "I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore." Abraham never saw those stars counted with his own eyes, but he believed, and that faith birthed a nation, and through that nation salvation for the world. One decision, one faith, one man, yet a legacy without limit. So it is with you. You think your forgiveness healed just one heart, but in truth it unleashed healing for your whole family line. You think your persistence in prayer only kept you standing, but heaven sees those prayers as foundations being laid for future generations. You think your small offering doesn't matter, but it can become the seed that feeds thousands in years to come. Your legacy does not simply extend, it multiplies. It spreads like fire passed from torch to torch. When you light another, you do not lose your flame, you expand it. From 1 becomes 10, from 10 becomes 1,000. And soon an entire generation is ablaze. Picture this, every choice of faith you make is like a ripple on water. You drop a small stone into the lake and the ripples travel outward, touching distant shores you will never see. In the same way, you may never know the names of those touched by your faith, but the waves you've created will reach them. Remember Rahab, a foreign woman, a prostitute in Jericho. Her life seemed marked only by shame, but one action, hiding the spies, trusting in the God of Israel, saved her life. And more than that, it placed her in the lineage of King David and ultimately into the ancestry of the Savior himself. Do you see one small act yet an infinite legacy? Look at your own family. Your children are watching. Your grandchildren are learning. They may not say it, but every time they see you pray, forgive, endure, love, they are engraving those moments into their souls. And one day when you are gone, those seeds will rise within them. They will say, "My parents believed, my grandparents endured, and because of them, I stand firm." True legacy never dies with one life. It always multiplies. Like oil passed from lamp to lamp, the flame does not diminish, it grows. Like a seed buried in the ground, it does not stop at one stalk, it blooms, it multiplies, it produces a harvest. You must know your life is not just for you. It is the starting point for many. Your faith will become a legacy, and that legacy is not static, it is alive, it spreads, it multiplies. Chosen one, what you do today will echo into many generations. The tears you sow today will become a harvest of joy for your children. The prayers you lift today will become walls of protection for those after you. The acts of love you give today will flow as a river without end, Your legacy will not stop. It will multiply, it will increase, and it will live on forever. Part 10. The conclusion. God's smile and the beginning of a new journey. Chosen one. Now hear this is not the end. This is the beginning. The beginning of a new journey, a new season, a new chapter in the book God is writing about your life. You have walked through fire, through water, through shadows. You have carried scars, losses, questions without answers. Yet in all of it, you did not give up. And now heaven rises in applause because you chose to believe. Do you hear it? The roar of celebration echoing through the heavens. Angels singing, elders casting down their crowns, and the Creator himself seated on the throne, smiling upon you. That smile is not fleeting, it is eternal. It is his seal declaring, you are mine, you are chosen, and I delight in you. The smile of God is your welcome into a new journey. It is the sunrise after a long night. When the sun rises, darkness flees. When the light breaks through, life springs forth. And now a new season is dawning in your story. You thought the past years were only loss, but they were preparation. Every tear, every prayer, every moment you rose from nothing, those were the first chapters. And now you step into the next one, the chapter of restoration, of miracles, of legacy. And you do not walk alone. Heaven walks with you. The Holy Spirit lives within you. And the community of believers, those walking in the same light, walk beside you. You are not alone, not ever again. I see a new fire rising within your soul. It is no longer a flickering candle fighting the wind. It is a blazing torch ready to light the way for others. And from now on, every step you take is not only for yourself, but for those who will follow. You may still hear the enemy whisper, "It's just a feeling. You'll fall again." But remember, God's smile is stronger than any lie. Once he has confirmed you, no power can deny you. You have crossed the threshold, and this door only opens forward. It will never close behind you. Chosen one. Today, my smile is your guarantee. It is proof that you are no longer in the old season. It is proof that the miracles have already begun. It is proof that your new journey will not end in defeat, but in glory. So stand tall. Lift your head high. Walk not as a survivor, but as a victor. Walk not as a beggar, but as a child of the King. Walk not in doubt, but in certainty. For from this moment on, every step you take is watched by heaven, and every step is a note in God's great symphony. And remember these three truths as you leave this sacred moment. First, this is not the end. It is the beginning. Second, the legacy you begin today will multiply, reaching far beyond you, flowing into generations yet unborn. Third, the smile of God is your eternal confirmation. You belong to him, and he will never leave you. Chosen one. This is your hour. This is your new journey. This is your next chapter. And God's smile will lead you from glory to glory, from miracle to miracle, until the day he completes the work he began in you. Chosen one. As this journey closes, remember it never truly ends. It is only the beginning of a new chapter, one that you will write with faith, with tears, and with the smile of God upon your life. You have walked with me, step by step, from the silence of heaven to the eruption of faith that shook both earth and sky. You have seen doors open, dreams awaken, the tree of faith blossom, and legacy begin to grow. You have heard the truth that age, time, past mistakes, or wounds cannot stop God's plan. And at last you have been welcomed by the eternal smile of God. So now let these three truths be carved into your soul. One, you were never an accident. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. Every trial, every tear, every scar on your body and soul, they are not meaningless. They are proof that you are God's vessel, forged to carry light into darkness. Two, you never walk alone. Heaven is always with you. Angels surround you. And above all, the Creator has never taken his eyes off you. You may feel lonely, but you have never been abandoned. He has been, he is, and he will always be with you, in every breath, every step, every choice. 3, you do not live just for yourself. Every decision you make today is a seed sown into the earth, and those seeds will rise into a forest, sheltering your children, your community, even strangers you will never meet. Your legacy is not limited to your bloodline. It will reach into souls far beyond your sight. Do you see it? Your life is like a vast painting. There are dark strokes, smudges, broken lines. You thought they were mistakes, but step back and you will see every shadow only makes the light shine brighter. And that painting, your life, is hanging in heaven's gallery, where souls look upon it and find courage. You are living proof that miracles still exist, that God is still moving, that faith, even fragile, can shake the universe. You are the bearer of his smile, and wherever you step, light will follow. So as you leave this journey, go in peace. Go with the certainty that his smile will never fade. Go with the faith that the legacy you are building will outlive you long after you cross into eternity. Chosen one. This is only the beginning. Go, live, believe, for heaven is still writing your story.